This summer, I was out with friends at an Italian pizza restaurant. We all ordered pizza, and as expected, it tasted incredible. But as much as I enjoyed it, I couldn't help but think, this is a bit pricey. That's when I got an idea. Why not try making authentic Italian pizza at home? I wanted a solution that was cheap, easy to build, and big enough to feed a group of people, even though I had zero experience with projects like this. After a bit of searching, I found the perfect answer: a Perlite pizza oven. So I ordered the materials, got to work on the formwork, and started building my very own pizza oven.
I was working with a pretty tight budget for this project. My goal was to keep the total cost under 350 euros, but I ended up spending just a little more. Let me break down the main expenses so you can get an idea of how much it took to build my pizza oven. First, I bought $85 worth of perlite, which is a key material for insulation. The refractory mortar, essential for handling the high temperatures, cost me around $170. Now, some people suggest you could use regular mortar instead, so feel free to research and decide what's best for you. For the base under the oven, I reinforced the plate with some steel mesh, which was a small cost of 10 euros. I went with normal mortar for the base, which set me back about 50 euros. One of the most unexpected items I had to buy was a Pilates ball for $16. Yes, you heard that right. It was crucial for shaping the oven dome. I also spent $70 on fire bricks to line the oven floor, which are important for retaining heat. Aside from these main expenses, I managed to repurpose some materials I already had lying around, which helped keep the costs down. All in all, these were the biggest costs, and while I went slightly over my budget, the result was worth every cent.
I started by cutting a hole in a base plate to perfectly fit the Pilates ball, which had a 75 centimeters diameter. After securing it, I covered the ball with plastic wrap and built a formwork for the oven's opening and chimney. The mix I used was 7 parts perlite, 2 parts water, and 2 parts refractory mortar. However, my first mistake was using a cement mixer. This crushed the perlite and turned the mixture into a soggy mess that was difficult to work with. I quickly learned that mixing by hand or with a shovel and a wheelbarrow worked much better. To reinforce the structure, I added a layer of chicken wire between the layers of the oven. After the initial build, it was all about patience. I had to keep the structure moist for 4 weeks to allow it to cure properly. While waiting, I worked on the base for the oven. I used some hard foam I had lying around to form the base shape. Once finished, I moved on to building the foundation. For the foundation, I spread gravel on a layer of landscape fabric and leveled a wooden frame on top. I used some spare stone slabs for the surface and built a sturdy wooden frame to support the weight of the oven. To reinforce the frame, I placed large stones around its outer edges for extra support. Then, with some help, we lifted the countertop onto the foundation. For insulation, I spread a layer of sand on top, then carefully cut and fitted the fire bricks for the oven floor. Finally, it was time to lift the pizza oven onto the base. I also added a brick front, which I had cast separately. This was mostly for aesthetics and could have been made with perlite like the rest of the oven, but I liked the look. Once everything was in place, I had to dry the moisture out of the oven slowly. I used pillar candles, burning them for days to gradually release the humidity. Then I started with small fires, slowly increasing the size until the oven was ready for a real test. My first bake wasn't pizza though, it was an apple and plum pie. A few days later I made my first pizzas. They turned out great, but I know I'll need a bit more practice before they're perfect. Even though the oven was functional, I wasn't done yet. I applied a white render and cast the chimney. Now the only thing missing is the door.